Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and we are continuing our ranking of the Doctor Who seasons and series from classic Doctor Who and modern Doctor Who from worst to best. And we are at number 22, I believe, now on the list. And that is going to be season 19, Peter Davidson's first season, and the highest Peter Davison season on my list. Season 19 is my favorite of Davidson's. I do love this limited edition UK box set. I do import these. Take note, the UK packaging is much better than the US packaging. And they tend not to be region locked. So if you're in the US, you should be able to import these and play them on your Blu-ray player. But I do like season 19. My biggest complaint is the TARDIS team and the Doctor itself. I find Davidson's Doctor a bit bland. I feel like Davison never really picked a direction with him, and not until close to the end of his tenure. Because if he was more like he was in Caves and some of the other season 21 stories, I think he would be more popular in the fandom. But he does come across as a bit safe, a bit bland, kind of like how Whittaker is at times. The stories, though, I like. But let's talk about the TARDIS team. I don't really get into the TARDIS team. I like Sarah Sutton, but Nyssa is a very two-dimensional character. She never really gets fleshed out. She never really gets developed. They never really do anything with the Master basically possessing her dead father's body. You know, there's a heck of a conflict you could explore there that never goes anywhere. Adric, I don't really care for. I like Adric with Tom. I don't care for Adric with Peter. I don't know why, I just don't. I find Adric far more irksome. Tegan I like, I will admit that. Janet Fielding is awesome, and Tegan is a lot of fun. Tegan is kind of the person of the four that I gravitate towards the most. Story-wise, there's some good ones and some bad ones. I love Castrovalva. It is my favorite Fifth Doctor story. Not objectively the best, I think that would be Caves, but it is my personal favorite. I love Castrovalva. It basically ends a trilogy, because I do consider Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, and Castrovalva to be a trilogy. And I love the updated effects that are on the season 19 box set. I think the updated effects really give it that extra little bump. I mean, it's fine without them, but it gives it that nice little bump that I appreciate a little more. Four to Doomsday, I really enjoy. I know it's not some people's cup of tea, and other people also like it like I do. It's one of my favorite Davison stories. I like it, especially considering it's completely studio bound. It's nice to have a chance to see Davison get to use his Sonic in it a little bit, because he doesn't have the Sonic long in his run. So it's nice to get some use out of that. I love the first time he sees the camera and he just gets this huge smile on his face. It's the cutest little smile he has. Peter Davison has a very nice smile. And you just see a smile at the camera like, people! Yay, people! I enjoyed that. I like the idea of all of these historical people who've been plucked out of time existing kind of as computers. You know, like when the guy pulls the thing off and just shows, this is me. It's a pretty good, neat little effect for one. And two, I just like it in the story. I really like Four to Doomsday. I think the actors all do a really good job. And the dance numbers get a little tedious, I will admit. But overall, it's a great story. Let's see, what's after two? What's after Four to Doomsday? Kinda. I hate Kinda. Kinda is the story more than anything that drags this down for me. Kinda is probably my least favorite Davison story. I think it's garbage and practically unwatchable. That being said, I do want to give a rewatch on it soon. Because I feel like it deserves one more chance, and I've only watched it the one time. But I hated Kinda. I hated it. I didn't care about Tamara. It's one of the reasons why I'm not that chomping at the bit to watch Snake Dance, because I can't stand Kinda. And I hear Kinda's the better of the two. Easily one of my least favorite Doctor Who stories of the classic series. I just can't stand it. It's uninteresting. The part whenever Tegan's in the Mara area, when it's like all black and whatever, it's not realized well for me. I don't buy it. The whole snake, I just don't feel like it's put together well. It's really hard to explain. I just feel like it's not put together well. But it does deserve a rewatch, and I am going to do that at some point. But yeah, Kinda is what drags the season down for me. The Visitation, I enjoy. I do like The Visitation, the location work. What I love about season 19 is the location work all survives the film elements. So the location shots really pop, and there's a lot of location work in The Visitation. It looks really good. I think the robot looks... It was definitely made in the 80s. But the creatures, I like the creature outfit. The little lizard creatures, they're cool. I mean, this is the episode where the Sonic gets destroyed. That's something. That's impressive. I like The Visitation. I like the I don't know his name, the guest character who's pretty much kind of like the Robin Hood type's not right, but the one with the guns who's kind of helping him. I like him. The actor playing him does a really good job. I really liked his character. I love Doctor Who episodes with a good guest cast, and I really like that guy that's helping him with the guns and stuff. He's a cool character. It's a nice actor playing him. I enjoy The Visitation. I like how it ties in with one of the great fires in history. Like, no, I think we're going to let this one burn. That's pretty neat how that ties into that. I think I like the incidental music in it, but I just remember really enjoying The Visitation, much like I did for the Doomsday. I really liked it. Next up is Black Orchid. I don't really get into Black Orchid. I did appreciate it a little more on my last rewatch. Again, the location work looks phenomenal. Like when Peter Davidson's playing cricket, I really like the location work. I like a couple of the times when the Fifth Doctor's very self-aware, like when he's like, why do I let my curiosity get the better of me or get me into these situations? I love that out loud musing he does. Again, I don't really get into the story because I never like stories where, oh look, there's somebody that looks just like me. You know, like the doctor, the actor playing the doctor's playing two different characters, except Meglos, because that's pivotal to the plot. But like, Nyssa meeting someone else that looks just like her by sheer coincidence. I never like stuff like that. It always rubs me wrong. I do like the dance number again with the location work. That looks funny when they're doing the Charleston and stuff. The story itself doesn't really grab me, but the execution of the story I like. Like, I don't really care for the actual story. It's just uninteresting. But I do like the camera work, the film techniques, and all that. So it's definitely watchable. And I definitely don't hate it. I just don't really care for it. And then we have Earthshock, which is phenomenal. I very much enjoy Earthshock. It again has a similar plot to Revenge of the Cybermen, which is also a great Cybermen story. But I really like the cliffhanger of episode 1 because you don't really know it's the Cybermen until the end. Destroy them at once. Especially when you consider that the Cybermen hadn't been seen in like 8 years, I think. Well, like 75 to 83 or so. So it's a nice little gap without the Cybermen, and then it doesn't give away they're in it. It's not called something or another Cybermen. There's no Cybermen in the title of the story. It's just called Earthshock. So, in a surprising move for the classic series, they don't give away that the Cybermen are in the story, which I like. And so it's a really nice shock when you get to that cliffhanger of episode 1 and see the Cybermen. Earthshock has this very epic feel to it. It's the reason why, as much as I would love to do a video talking about why Revenge of the Cybermen is better than Earthshock, I just can't. Because while they have similar plots, and I think Revenge has a better subplot, and I think Revenge has a better doctor, and I think Revenge has better companions, there is an epicness and grandness and scale to Earthshock that if I ever pitted them head to head, Earthshock's still gonna win. And believe me, have I thought about doing a versus of those two. But Earthshock it just feels like an epic story. The acting I really like, especially I know the actress cast as the captain was apparently a very famous actress, and some people think she was miscast. I think she's fine in the role. Because she doesn't act like a stereotypical captain. She's a business person. She owns a business. The way I headcanon it in my head is it was her husband's business, and then he died, and she, being stubborn, didn't want to let anyone else run it, so she just took it over and is running it as best she can. That's why she doesn't quite seem completely sure of herself, and she's been thrust into this position because, her husband or significant other died, and now she's taken over the company. And for me, that works in my headcanon why she acts the way she does. I enjoy the Cybermen in this one. It really does managed to convince me. There's a bunch of Cybermen running around. Adric's death, especially when you think about how pointless his death is. He didn't have to die. He didn't die of saving everything. It's actually a pretty pointless death. And for classic Who, it's pretty breathtaking and interesting. You know, in modern Who, companions die all the time. Like, they drop like flies. But in classic Who, it was rare for a companion to die like that. So it definitely was impactful. And I very much enjoy it. Even though I'm surprised Davidson didn't do more to try to save him at the last second. But again, his doctor is very vanilla. He's a very vanilla doctor. I did like the fact it was Adric's star that enabled him to stop the cyber leader by crushing it into his thing, so that was kind of neat. The ending credits over the star with no music was a tad much for me, but Earthshot deserves all of the accolades it gets. It is a very impressive and groundbreaking and epic story. And then we have Time Flight, which I think is underrated. I'm not saying Time Flight's great, but I enjoyed it. To be fair, I've only watched Time Flight once, so it definitely deserves a rewatch, but I enjoyed it for the most part. The effects didn't bother me. The Master being disguised as someone else bothers me, especially since he's disguised as, I'm not quite sure what he's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure it's a racial caricature of something, but I'm not quite sure what, so I can't really call it out on it. But there's no reason for him to be disguised other than for him to do a, "It was me, Doctor," to the audience. That's it, you know, as a cliffhanger of, "It was actually me all along." There's no reason for him to be disguised other than that. And so that bugs me, but other than that, I'm fine with Time Flight. I enjoyed it. It's way better than Kendo and Black Orchid. So I need to give it a rewatch to see if it holds up, but my first viewing was that I liked Time Flight. So I had really only one story I just absolutely hated, and that was Kenda. And then one story I'm not overly keen on, which is Black Orchid. And then the others I enjoyed to varying degrees. Like Time Flight I liked. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It was fine. And then I really enjoyed The Visitation. I really enjoyed Fort of Doomsday. I really enjoyed Castrovalva. It would rank higher if I just liked the Fifth Doctor and the TARDIS team more. But the Fifth Doctor tends to be on the lower end of my list, and this TARDIS team tends to be on the lower end of my list, except for Tegan. I like Tegan. So I would like to know, what do you think of Season 19? So comment down below and let me know. All the other fun stuff to do, clicking the like button, the subscribe button, checking out the Patreon, it's down in the description below, as is a link to the Amazon wish list and my P.O. box as well, if there's anything you would like to send me. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Crane, who is one of my top tier patrons. I appreciate his continued support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also want to give a shout out to Paul Bailey, a fellow Doctor Who YouTuber, who he was the first one I saw that came up with the idea of ranking the seasons one per week. I think that was a really clever idea, and I definitely wanted to give him a shout out about it. And most importantly, thank you for watching.